my beautiful souls, and welcome to Sunrise Tarot. My name is Leah, and today we'll be doing a reading for the beautiful sign of Aries for the month of July 2023. As you know, Aries, this is a general reading, so there will be parts that may not resonate with you. Only take the parts that do resonate and leave the rest for someone else. I've already meditated on the cards, I've already shuffled the cards, and this is the spread that I have for you today. In the past position, we have the Two of Swords clarified by the King of Swords. In the challenging position, we have the Eight of Cups clarified by the Fool. In the present position, we have the Knight of Pentacles clarified by the Chariot. And to round it all off, we do in the future outcome position have the Ten of Cups clarified by the Six of Cups. Very interesting spread. Let's get right into it. It does look like in the past you had a difficult choice to make. There were some things that were, there were some facts, some details that were not available to you, but you still felt that you needed to make a choice between two options that were presented to you. And it did, make your emotions feel strained, feel some anxiety, because when you don't really have great options to choose from, you tend to go with the least hated option, if you will. So, there was a period where you were going back and forth. You also received some input from the King of Swords here, because the King of Swords is all about intellect and, rationale and logic. He's someone who is able to use a sword to communicate very directly, at times almost too direct. He's not the warmest person, but he is someone who is able to solve pretty much anything. We see these two birds kind of on the same level as his head, signifying that no problem is overwhelming for him. He's so rational, he's so logical that he's able to see kind of all kinds of ways to create a solution, to find a solution, if you will. He understands that in order to be successful in life, you have to be balanced, you have to be disciplined, you have to be structured. There's a certain way you approach different situations, different circumstances, and things may be kind of going all over the place. We do see the wind, like the clouds are kind of, moving in various ways. They're not, calm. It's not like there's sun shining, but the King of Swords is calm because he knows what it takes. He has experience behind him. He has knowledge behind him that helps him move forward. And so definitely there was someone who was somewhat powerful that kind of helped you explore the options that you had before you. And it's interesting because it looks to me that Aries, you chose to stay in the situation. It looks to me that you chose to be on the compromising side because maybe you did not want to rock the boat. Maybe you didn't want to get yourself involved in some sort of a disagreement. Anytime you do involve yourself in some sort of a disagreement, there is a leakage of energy. When your energy starts leaking, on all the kind of things as you go through life. So it's important to remember balance, balance, balance. It's important to meditate, 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 because when you meditate, you have a strong grasp over the quality of your thoughts. You are able to kind of focus on your thoughts and make make sure that you have a good relationship with your thoughts, because you are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You have a relationship with your emotions. So when you meditate, you are able to, well, frankly, to think about nothing, right? I recently discovered, I can't remember the guy's name, but I was listening to a lecture, and he was talking about thinking versus not thinking. So a lot of times, I don't know, maybe 100 years ago, 200 years ago, people started to, be a lot more analytical on a mass level, if you will. And so when you think about a circumstance, a particular situation, particular connection, when you think, you distance yourself from reality, because you can't sort of multitask. You can't be present and still think in an analytical way, right? Because when you're thinking, you're kind of going on the inside, and you're not really paying attention to what's happening around you. You know how that example of driving home from work and you can't remember how you got home because the brain is on the automatic, it just turns automatically on the street you're supposed to turn on. It just does everything, automatically for you while you're thinking about something. And that's what it's called, being divorced from reality. So when you don't participate in reality, when you're not fully present, you suffer. And so the way, the holistic way of fixing that problem is obviously what the Buddhists have always done, and other people, which is meditate. Because you must have a balance. If you're thinking for an hour, you have to spend an hour not thinking, right? And that's what the meditation is basically all about. Because when you're not thinking, you are focusing on being in the present, if you will. Because there's no future, there's no past, there's none of that. Remember, time really does not exist, right? Remember that movie, Everywhere, All the Time, everything is all at once? Like, when you raise yourself up into a different dimension, there isn't a Monday and a Tuesday and a Wednesday and a Thursday and a Friday. Time isn't linear. You're born and dying and living all at the same time, and so once we get to a certain point and the time machine, will be invented, you're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So like, let's say, your husband asks you something, or your wife asks you something, and you start arguing. Well, you can use the time machine to go back to avoid that argument by knowing the answer, or by, changing the conversation to something else. Do you know what I mean? And so it's very, very important to understand the concept of time. It's also important to understand how that relates to thinking. Make sure that you counteract thinking too much with meditating. It's exceptionally important. In the obstacle position, you have the Eight of Cups, which tells me that you were supposed to walk away from something, or there's something in your life that maybe is not, to your liking, is not giving you the satisfaction that you thought you were going to have. But walking away from something can be quite difficult. And so when you have the Eight of Cups in the obstacle position, it's definitely telling me you're sacrificing your happiness for something that you deem important, like so important. And so it's like that value that you put on a connection or on a situation. You're choosing to stay in a situation to avoid maybe a conflict or a disagreement. Maybe you're choosing to stay in a situation because you don't have the time or the energy to start something new. And that's why you got the Fool in the clarifying position, because the Fool is all about new beginnings. And when you have him in the obstacle position, definitely it's telling me that you're choosing to stay in the same situation rather than begin something new. And like I said, for various people, it could be various reasons. Some of you may, kind of not want to start over. Maybe you feel like you're too young, too old, too whatever. And so it's important to remember you're not too young, you're not too old, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. And if the inkling of starting over again has occurred to you, then that's probably something you should do. That's probably like if there's a fear that's coming up, then you know that's exactly what you should do, because the fear is a signal to you that's your limitation. And if that fear is coming up, then you have to kind of overcome that limitation, because if you are able to overcome the limitation, then you open newer things for yourself and invite newer things into your life. So you expand, and expansion brings opportunities and new connections and things like that. I just realized maybe it's too dark. Let me turn on the light. I don't know. I just started um, doing the reading right away. Okay, I turned on the light. Hopefully that makes things a little bit better. So definitely, and the cats are asleep, so no one is jumping on the table. Woohoo! There's a certain desire for change that's coming in through the cards, you know, so you definitely want to make sure that that desire for change is not being ignored. Because remember, when you ignore your emotions, what is an emotion? Energy in motion. When you ignore your emotion, it's going to come back in a different way, somehow, some way, through a different person, through a different situation, a year later, you know, or sometime later, but it's going to rear its ugly head once again when you ignore an important emotion. You know, it's clear to me that some of you are not wanting to take a risk. It's clear to me that you are choosing to stay in the comfort zone of what you know, rather than have faith and go into the unknown. And so it's definitely important to remember that the source wants you to explore, and the source wants you to overcome the limitations that you yourself pose onto yourself, because you don't know what to expect. But it is important, definitely, to kind of prioritize change in your life, as it will bring really great results to you towards the end of the year. Now, in the present position, you do have the Knight of Pentacles, which is telling me that in the month of July, you're going to feel like, you know, like you're really working really hard, and things are kind of routine and methodical, and you're just, you know, getting up and doing what you need to do in order to see the results that you want to see. The Knight of Pentacles is a solid card that's going to help you not give up, that's going to help you persevere, that's going to help you stay committed to the task at hand, because the better results you want to see, the more hard work you have to put in. You do work hard, which brings about great results. When people say you don't really have to work hard, you can work smart, again, I don't, you can try and you know, do work smart, but based on my experience and knowledge and kind of exposure to different cultures and whatnot, results, meaningful results, come from the time and the energy that you put in. People oftentimes want fast results that don't really last as long as they would like them to. So definitely, the Knight of Pentacles is reminding you that rewards come through staying committed to the task at hand, working really hard, being dedicated, being diligent, and kind of seeing it through. We do have the Ten of Cups in the future outcome position, which is great, because it's telling me that there's a wish coming true towards the end of July. But again, it does depend on how much of your own willpower, of your own determination you're willing to use. You know, like if someone gives you pushback and you give up right away, that's not a lot of determination. That's that's not a lot of willpower. But if someone gives you pushback after pushback after pushback, on Monday, on Wednesday, on Friday, and you continue to keep calm and keep persevering because you have a clear goal in mind, the results would make you so much more happier. So it's about definitely staying committed to the task at hand. It's interesting that you have the Six of Cups in the clarifying position here because something is coming up from the past. So it could be that someone is going to call you, someone's going to contact you from the past that you haven't seen in quite a while. That's going to really make you happy. It's a happy past. It's not the unhappy past. So there's definitely something is coming up from the past. It could also be that you're idealizing your own past in a way. It could be that you're also wishing you were younger because you had, opportunities in the past that maybe you don't really have now. We all tend to think fondly of the past. It's a trap, because if you actually relive, the past, you will see that there's quite a few things that, were not as great as your mind makes it to be. Remember, the mind is not your friend. Your brain is there to help you survive, to keep the body alive. It is rooted in, different reactions and different responses. You're not your brain. You are definitely your soul. You're someone who observes your own thoughts. And it's important to remember, it can be hard to argue with your own brain, but a brain is a muscle. It's going to always do, what it can in order to keep you in that comfort zone. The brain is always going to say, never go out of that comfort zone, because then the brain has to figure out ways, to when you leave the comfort zone, your brain has to find and build paths to protect you. So let's say you are in a new situation. So for example, like if you are in a new situation, I just want to illustrate it for you. And you kind of go into the uncomfortable zone, your brain then kind of starts making, new pathways. It's almost like, branches of a tree or whatever. I don't know if you can see it, but your brain just starts to create this pathway, and there's a lot of activity, then that continues to happen. So the mind generally wants to stay in the comfort zone. It doesn't like when you ask it to change something. So it's up to you. It's your responsibility in order to kind of work through different emotions when change comes up, so that your mind doesn't react so badly to it. But let's see what we can clarify with the Shaman Dream Oracle card, and we've got Woodwife. Adaptability. Definitely being flexible is something that will help you in the month of July. Be flexible, be open, be kind of like a student where you are open to learning, you're open to working with different ideas, you're not shutting things down and going back to the old ways. Be open to the new ways, be flexible, be adapting to the situations that are coming towards you, because in that you will find the new path forward. And I think that will make you feel a lot more fulfilled. I also pulled an Akashic Tarot card that I generally do not pull, but because I use it for my own personal use. And we have the Scribe. The Scribe is let me actually read to you. The learned scribe writes at a high desk. Nearby are a number of other working scribes. In some ancient societies, scribes were simply copies of holy texts, but in many they were the most learned men of their time, people well versed in law, scripture, philosophy, history, and more. This card indicates a great upsweep in mind and study for you. If there is any subject with which you'd like to acquaint yourself, do so. It's not just for the sake of study, although that's always a good thing. This period of higher mind and higher learning is nothing less than a change your life opportunity. Just as the Wright brothers began by studying the flight patterns of birds, you can rise up on the wings of discovery now. There may be a teacher or even an entire school that can help you with this upliftment. Be sure to seek out the right person or place of learning. You could also become a writer or teacher yourself at this time, elevating and contributing to others. If you're involved in any legal matters, there is a person who can help you with this. Let your great vision guide you to him or her. This could also be a time when you might find yourself writing proposals, essays, blogs, articles, or books. Notice what compels you and be sure to answer the call. So that is the scribe card. Definitely be prepared to work, maybe on plans for the future. You are planning, you are creating something on paper at this time that is going to, then manifest itself into your world. Let's see if I think I'm gonna pull an angel and ancestor card as well, just to round it all off and see what kind of message is coming in from the angels and the ancestors. And the card I'm pulling is Spirit Fox. Trust your talents in changing times. Foxes are very smart. They're very resourceful. They're able to, be flexible and be adaptable. They can understand how the environment around them changes. They flourish in summer, they flourish in winter. So definitely a little bit of flexibility is going to go a long way for you, dear Aries. I hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for checking out my channel. And don't forget to see me on Instagram and on Facebook as well. Thank you.